Deputy Staff.
Call to order the regular board meeting of April 16th, 2019. The Pledge of Allegiance tonight will be led by the Anchor Bay Junior ROTC. Please rise.
Forward. Mark. Guard. Post. Present. Arms. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Order. Arms. Ready. Face. Guide up.
Can I get a round of applause for the young men from the Anchor Bay Junior? Round of applause, please. Thank you. Item number 3 is a roll call. Clerk Berry, please call the roll.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Here.
Treasurer LaFata.
Here.
Trustee Anderson.
Here.
Trustee Joseph.
Here.
Trustee Vosberg. Here. Trustee Demink. Here. Clerk Berry is here.
Item 4, presentations. 4A, approve a request by the Public Safety Department to present 4 new fire candidates, John Plotzke, John Grzyb, Andrew Persig, and Scott Gilchrist, along with police officer candidate Casey Nickerson for the oath of office. Director Kirsten and Clerk Berry.
Thank you. I'd like to present these firefighter candidates to you to take the oath of office. These individuals come highly regarded, and they will be a great asset to the fire department's part-time paid-on-call staff. So if those individuals could step forward.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of firefighter in and for the Township of Chesterfield, County of Macomb, State of Michigan, to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
welcome aboard.
Now I present to you Officer Casey Nickerson.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
of the office of police officer
of the office of police officer
in and for the Township of Chesterfield,
in and for the Township of Chesterfield,
County of Macomb,
County of Macomb,
State of Michigan,
State of Michigan,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Why is she laughing? After the presentation with Director Sonberg, we also have one quick fire department demonstration.
I'll do it on department reports. Thank you, Director Kirsten, and welcome to our new members of the Public Safety Team. 4B, report from the Director of Facilities Operations explaining the Fire Station number 1 renovation plan and project timeline to submit a R.F.P. Director Sonnenberg.
Most of you know, some time ago, we reached out to you to improve and enhance fire station on 22 Mile Road, Station 1 facility. The facility, it was lacking in many areas. It is the highest call volume station along the Gratiot corridor, and it was in desperate need of enhancements and renovations. So that Josh oversaw the work with the architecture, and go ahead and explain where we're at.
I think it's more of a team effort with Brad and myself and some of the firemen and Treasurer LaFada, and we have kind of a project team that's been working on this. So we started off, obviously, with the issues that we have at the station, and we put together, what you can see here, the drawing above shows the existing station, the 4 bays and the lower office structure. What we're proposing is to add 2 additional apparatus bays you'll see in the lower right, and then extend the living quarters with the addition of the 2nd floor above the existing living quarters. What that does is actually what it does, it will go above the existing living quarters and then over the 1st bay. That gives us about 3,400 square feet of office, an exercise room, some training area, and then also some living quarters. Right now in that existing station, they're literally sleeping in the entryway. And I know we've talked about this quite a bit, and we've been working on these drawings. This was the way that really made the most sense, is to go up and over rather than extend the building with the cost of the footings and just the additional field cost. So this just gives you an idea of where we're at now, where the rendering is from the start above to what will be below. This next slide shows the areas that we'll be adding on to. The first picture above, once again, is the existing fire station. You'll see there's 1 larger bay with 3 smaller bays. Those bays are so low that unfortunately the firemen, they really can't even service their trucks. They can't lift their cabs up. There's actually heat reflectors on the radiant units. So those 2 new bays are much higher so they can service the trucks. And then those are to the lower right. You'll see those on the outside of the building. And then on the lower left, that shows the extension of the living quarters. We're going to go, like I said, that's why I passed out that drawing that you guys have, because it's a better floor plan on the 2nd page. You can see, because I apologize, these drawings are really detailed, so I couldn't blow them up enough to fit them in to make them look really nice. But what I wanted to show you is actually the size and scale of what's proposed. So this is a little bit better, even the floor plan's bad here, but it kind of shows in too much detail, I apologize, the layout of the floor plan. So we will post this on our website. Our goal right now is, we got to this point in the design phase, we're going to, probably in the next month, release the RFP, get the bid package out, get the bids back in, analyze the bids, and then come back to you with the final cost, and then present it to the board for approval to move forward with the construction. Obviously, we'll go through all the details, more details at that time. I just wanted to give you kind of a quick update of the areas that we plan to expand and kind of the general layout.
Thank you, Director Sonnenberg. A tremendous amount of work got us this far, and this is an investment that is long overdue. It's been discussed for about 18 months here with this board, and I think this will, we got a long ways to go. Submits bid documents, receive bids, and we'll be back to this board and start construction. Sounds like late summer, early fall. Any questions for Director Sonnenberg or Director Kirsten?
I'd like to say one more thing. I'd like to thank Mr. Rich Muha. When we first started this process, he actually came to us with almost scaled drawings of the fire station. So they worked really hard on their end to kind of get us to this point. So we really were able to fast track it thanks to a lot of his work before we even started.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you turn the lights back on, please?
Yep.
Sure, sorry.
Item number 5, department reports. Director Kirsten.
I'd like to invite a couple of the firemen up here for a quick demonstration. Last month at the board meeting, you approved the purchase of what we call Lucas 3 devices. This instrument is an automated mechanical CPR device. This is the latest trend in pre-hospital EMS and CPR events, and it is, you allowed us to purchase 2 of them. Both stations have them. I'd like the firefighters to demonstrate real quickly how it's used and implemented in the field. Fire Chief, did I miss anything? We're using a CPR mannequin dummy instead of obviously a true victim.
This is our mannequin here that actually, it helps us teach other students. There are our students that we teach in the citizens that come to our academy for CPR.
If you could, he's going to give you the microphone. I want to make sure the folks at home are going to be able to hear you.
So this is one of the mannequins. This mannequin, it's a feedback device mannequin, which all that means is it allows us to be able to know that we're adequately giving the proper depth and rate for compressions. So as we use this as we teach CPR to the citizens in the community, what it'll do is it'll show them that they're doing the CPR effectively and properly by lighting up all the way up till it gets good blood flow and circulation throughout the mannequin. So anytime, you want me to go through this?
Yeah, but
So anytime that we get a CPR, this takes just seconds to set up. Essentially, we have one firefighter taking it out while another is preparing the patient. All we're going to do is slide the patient right onto the backboard. Simple process. Firefighter Nastasi is going to clip it on. It's clipped on. We're going to pull it down and start our compressions. What this does, this machine here, it stops us from having any type of human error. This stops us from having any kind of human error within doing the CPR. So it's going to do continual compressions until we get an actual airway in. It'll do compressions once we get the airway in. Right now it just alerted us. Now it's time to give 2 breaths. We give our 2 breaths, and it goes right back into compressions again. And again, this stops from any kind of human errors, because we start to tire out after a few minutes. We can be doing CPR for 30 minutes, sometimes even more if we have to transport to the hospital after that. So this is going to take away any energy that we end up losing. So we'll end up losing our depth, we'll end up losing our rate, which again will return, we'll lose blood flow to the brain, which will cause decreased brain activity if we get the pulses back. Now this machine doesn't guarantee that we get pulses, but it definitely does help increase brain activity and brain acuity and allowing somebody to recover from CPR or from a cardiac arrest event in the future.
thank Thank you, Firefighter Goss. Again, this is a quick demonstration of something that is a traumatic emergent event where firefighters would respond as first responders to this type of cardiac arrest. Our EMS partner, MedStar, would arrive. That instrument would maintain with the fireman and be transported to the hospital with MedStar.
Thank you. Any questions for?
Just again, I thank you. This is a big investment and definitely an enhancement to our services to the residents of Chesterfield.
Thank you, Director Kirsten, firefighters, Firefighter Goss. You're very well spoken, and it was a fantastic presentation. One question: the device. Folks are different sizes. Maybe they're thicker or thinner. Is a device?
This is not a weight variance device. What it does is it goes by size. So we can get it to where we can put somebody in there all the way up to the cuff, and if somebody has a larger mass or something, we can slightly fold that in with it. Clipping in, it actually holds their mass in, or their extra skin, we'll say, and it still allows for compression. So it does do a wide range from small to large, and ultimately it doesn't fit the very large and the very small, but again, for probably 70–80% of the people out there, this will definitely work out.
Thank you. Trustee Vosberg.
Thank you. How long has that machine been available to?
It's been around for many years. There's been many different variances of this model. This is the newest and latest model. So again, as time goes on and study goes on, they're always improving, always finding different techniques, different types of options to add to these machines. So this one here is the latest model, which is pretty top notch. So with this model, actually, they had a clinical study done. They actually had one patient that went into cardiac arrest while he was on his job. Somebody started CPR right away. Paramedics got there. They applied the exact same Lucas device, and it ended up going in, and they were doing CPR on this patient for 3 hours. It was actually 2 hours and 45 minutes on a 56-year-old male man. He made it to the cath lab. They ended up alleviating the issue after 2 hours and 45 minutes of using this machine. And the patient ended up walking away and returning to his family with no brain loss of activity, no brain damage, nothing like that. So.
Phenomenal. Any further questions from the board?
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further department reports or updates from the department heads? One very quick comment from myself. Every member of the board should have received this budget book. This budget book, there's a copy up on the table that has the agenda on it. This is our 2019 budget book. You'll see a lot of changes from the budget books in the past. The document is available online, and also there'll be hard copies here for the public to view if anyone wants to look at one. Like I said, there's one on the agenda. A lot of work and effort went into that budget being presented in that format. I think it's something that you'll see the difference from years past to this year, and something we should be very proud of. Big shout out to our finance director, Vicki Bauer, for the tremendous amount of work that went into creating that document in that book. Item number 6 is the consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered routine by the board and will be enacted in one motion. There's no separate discussion of these items. If discussion of any item is required by a board member, it will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Public comment on the consent agenda are permitted. Tonight's consent agenda include approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of April 2nd, 2019, approval of the agenda, and approval of the payment of bills.
Motion to approve the consent agenda is presented. Support.
Motion by Trustee Domingue, support by Trustee Joseph. Discussion from the board. Comments from the public. Clerk, will you please call the roll on the consent agenda?
Trustee Domingue.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Treasurer LaFata.
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye.
Clerk Barry, aye.
Motion prevails. The consent agenda is adopted. Item number 7 is the regular agenda, 7A. Approve a request by the FOIA Coordinator to make amendments to the FOIA Policy, frequently asked questions, and estimate cost form. Do I have
Mr.
a motion?
Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the request by the FOIA Coordinator to make amendments to our FOIA Policy, frequently asked questions, and estimate of cost form.
Motion by Clerk Berry, second by Trustee Vosberg. Clerk Grenia is here.
Hi, I'm here in pleasure of Clerk Berry. She asked that I would be here this evening in case there were any questions from the board members.
I guess I should have referred you to as FOIA Coordinator. Any questions from the board? Trustee Anderson.
Yeah, just look, it's over 20 pages here on this document, and I was looking at it at home online, and it seems there's some redundancy here. Couldn't this thing been boiled down a little bit and maybe run by our attorney before it appeared on the agenda?
That is, you want me to address it, right?
You can certainly address that.
All of these documents were what have been previously approved by the board as our policy or frequently asked questions. The only thing that changed somewhat in a bigger fashion was the estimate of fee. We had to add some language to that. But I just made the amendments to the policy as I'm going to note it. I'm sure that this is and Chris Anderson would be happy to look at, policy if you ask them to do so.
Trustee Anderson, we have already looked at this. This is, the only items to your former policy that have been changed are highlighted in yellow in the packet, and Ms. Green, you have put together an excellent executive summary of the reason for the changes. There was a recent amendment to the Freedom of Information Act as a result of the request that came out a year or two ago where there was a request for all sorts of voting records, and the amount of time and funds that would be necessary to compile the information were staggering, and as a result the legislature amended the statute. And these are very minor amendments, but you're required to post on your website all of the details of how you make a Freedom of Information Act request so that members of the public can go to your website and get all that information. A good portion of this is also promulgated by the MTA. So it seems like it's lengthy, but it's intended by the MTA primarily to be a question and answer for the average person that wants to make a FOIA request. But we have reviewed it and are satisfied with it. And for what it's worth, this exact change has been adopted by every municipality that I represent and most that I'm aware of.
Sure. So you can follow up.
Just still seem, go ahead.
No, that's all right. Are you all set, Trustee Anderson? Trustee Vosberg.
Thank you. I noticed on page 5, the second bullet point refers to an email with a person's name in, and I had suggested that they use a different email like FOIA request or something generic so that we wouldn't have to change this all the time, or is that just part of the, then later I thought maybe it's just part of the question and answer, but it would be helpful if there's not a person's name.
Yeah, and I can answer that question for you. That was a carryover from our first policy that we had. We have changed it since then, and that is going to be switched out. So in the one that's going to appear publicly, it is actually FOIA@ChesterfieldTWP.org. So.
Any further comments from the board?
Happy reading.
Thank you. Motion by Clerk Berry, support by Trustee Vosberg to approve the request by the FOIA Coordinator to make amendments to the FOIA policy, frequently asked questions, and estimate of cost forms. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying nay. Motion prevails. Thank you. 7B, approve a request to renew the facility use agreement for the years 2019 through 2023 between L'Anse Creuse Public Schools and the Charter Township of Chesterfield for the purpose of voting precincts. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Joseph.
Second.
Support by Clerk Berry. Discussion. Motion by Trustee Joseph, support by Clerk Berry to approve the request to renew the facility use agreement for the years 2019 through 2023 between L'Anse Creuse Schools and the Charter Township of Chesterfield for the purpose of voting precincts. Clerk Berry, please call the roll.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Clerk Berry, aye. Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Treasurer LaFata.
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye. Motion prevails. 7C, approve a request by the Department of Public Works to partner with the Macomb County Department of Roads to improve 3 miles of gravel roads within Chesterfield Township with a 10% township match of $22,500. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Support.
Motion by Trustee Joseph, support by Trustee Demink. Assistant Director Johnson.
Just a quick comment. This is the second year of us doing this gravel program. Last year we did about just over a mile of road on the ramp, drive, and site path. This year, we're able to do the full 3 miles, which is the max you can do in the county. So we are doing Shore Road, part of Maurice, Baker from Washington to Hobart, from Baker to Bourbon, and 25-mile road from Baker to As you guys are, I don't know if you guys are aware, we do have roughly 22.5 miles of gravel road. We get all the roads, it will take roughly 6 to 7 years to get that completed. So we're going to take it on an as-needed basis to ones that are emergent, trying to get them first. So these are the ones that we'll start at this time.
Trustee Joseph.
Just a quick question on the grading on some of these roads, in particular the one that I visited most recently over on Maurice. Residents there have been complaining about the culverts, the ditches, and there has been some problems with the way the water sort of flows off the road. I don't know if that's the result of just the road itself being in such disrepair for so long. Does the grading, does the new gravel road sort of take into account, are we looking at that? We're not just going to go out and dump a bunch of gravel and, you know, kind of pack it in. That, I think you got about between 1/2 and 3/4 of a mile of road roughly in that area, and the stretch before it starts to, you know, turn north back to Donner. That's the area that seems to be the worst. Is there any plans to take a look at that and, you know, in terms of the water?
In terms of changing the ditching, no, but a lot of times on these roads, the road hasn't been built up, so the water's going to stay on the road because the edges are higher than the actual road. By building up the base of the road, the water should end up going over the road back into the ditch as it's supposed to. So it should alleviate that problem.
So you've been out there, I know, and you see some, especially this time of year, a little bit of rain, and these neighbors, these residents have water, you know, and they have some pretty big offsets. You know, they're back a little bit off the road. Water comes into their yard pretty good amount. So our people out there, when the county comes in, we can take a look at that at least, make sure that it's flowing properly.
Yeah, absolutely. So the ditch is going to be a separate issue, which would be a different project itself. So we can look at that, then we can bring it to the county's attention of how we can alleviate that issue.
Well, I know we've had the county out before,
Yep.
and it was the township's position that the water was part of the, you know, it was part of the county. It doesn't make any sense to put a road in if we're not also addressing the water. So I know we got a few residents here from Maurice. I'm sure they'll be out there. I think we should pay attention to that as the road is going in, because again, makes no sense. I realize it's 90% the county's money, but we do want to make sure our residents are squared away. If we're going through the effort of, you know, getting a gravel road in, let's make sure we don't wash it away.
Absolutely. We'll have somebody out there from our crew on site as they're putting the.
Excellent. Great. Thank you.
Any comments from the board? Then I'll bring it up to the public. Trustee Bosberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is a good program. It's somewhat helpful, but it's not the end-all and be-all. And while it is helpful, I would not want the residents to, they're going to be happy with it initially, but eventually the road starts wearing and tearing again. So I'd say the township's doing what it can, but it's really the ultimate responsibility of the county, as has been pointed out already. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe one quick comment from me. This will be the second year of our participation in the history of Chesterfield Township with Macomb County's limestone program. The program historically has been available to the northern 6 townships, and that's north of Chesterfield. Last year we had 1 mile, and it's really signified one of the first times that our gravel roads have been re-gravelled. Right now you see the 20+ miles total. There's maintenance gravel and grading, and some of these roads are almost impassable. Last year we had 1 mile. This year we're going to have 3 miles, and I'm assured we'll have 3 miles into the future. It's going to take some time, but we're starting to create a road program, and this is the gravel piece. In the coming months you'll be seeing some paved projects in the form of special assessment districts where we're partnering as well. I'll bring it up to the public.
Bill Valencourt, I live on Maurice Road. I want to thank myself call the county all the time, asking them to do something with the drainage. And the one time we did get them to actually dig up culverts and redo it. In front of my house, they said, oh, there's too much water here, it's too deep, so there's nothing we can do there. And I go, well, add some dirt. You're digging dirt out everywhere else, and they go, we don't add dirt, we just take it. That was the comment I got out of, the workers. So whatever help you can give on that would be greatly appreciated, because it's half my yard's washed away from improper drainage.
Thank you. Any further comments from the board? Or the public? Motion by Trustee Joseph, support by Trustee Demink to approve the request by Public Works to partner with the Macomb County Department of Roads to improve 3 miles of gravel roads within Chesterfield Township with a 10% township match of $22,500. Clerk Berry, please call the roll.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Vosper.
Aye.
Treasurer LaFata.
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye.
Clerk Berry, aye.
Motion prevails. Thank you. 7D, approve a request by the Chesterfield Township Parks and Recreation Department to update the currently expired Parks and Recreation Master Plan with Giffords Webster. This expense is budgeted from the general fund, account number 101-752-801, in the amount of $6,820.
So moved.
Motion by
Support.
Trustee Demink, support by Trustee Anderson. Director Willard is here along with our representative from Giffords Webster, who represents the firm preparing the form. I don't know, Rod, if you would come up in case there's a question. Discussion. Trustee Joseph.
Just wanted to point out that one of the reasons that the QBS team was so impressed with Giffords Webster was the fact that their master plan assistance for our township master plan also incorporated the master plan for Parks and Rec. And their expertise in this area really was felt by the QBS team to be unmatched. Specifically, one of the things that Mr. Arroyo, who was here tonight, talked about was most master plans have a tendency to be quite consumed with history, where we've been. So there's a lot of repeating and a lot of data that just sort of makes its way from one master plan to the next master plan. What was unique about this presentation by Giffords Webster was the fact that they wanted to take a look at a really much more comprehensive view of where we're going, what we intend to do, and when we see the presentations that we've had from our facilities director and sort of the work that's being done out on Brandenburg and all of the great opportunities we have, maybe partnering with neighboring communities and growing our Parks and Rec department. It's a very good time to have such an accomplished planner on board. The Giffords Webster team, Mr. Arroyo is sort of taking charge of the Chesterfield account. He was present at our first Planning Commission meeting this month, and I can tell you that I believe all the planners, the Planning Commission members are very, very excited about the direction of our planning department with Mr. Arroyo at the head. And the Parks and Rec piece is a very, very vital piece, and I just can't say enough positive things about your firm and the great start we're off to in Chesterfield. So very enthusiastic about this agenda item, along with the many other things that Giffords brings to the township. So hats off again to the QBS team. This was a great selection.
Trustee Demink.
Yeah, this was brought forward by Director Willard, and I spoke to her about it, and it's a great idea. We're going to be more, to get more grants and more funding for Parks and Rec. We all know we want to do better. We've seen the things we want to do down at Brandenburg and some of the other things, so I think the board will be very happy when this is approved, and I believe Giffords Webster will do an excellent job, as Dave has already stated. And, they did their interview for planning. We are all very impressed with them. Thank you.
Any further comments from the board? One quick comment from me. This is going to be a vital document. It is necessary to receive Michigan DNR grant funds, and we're going to have a lot of asks in our community and some other big issues that this project, this master plan would jumpstart. The future of our rec center, our youth center is, we've been talking about it for years, is outgrown. And the connectability of our non-motorized path system. One thing I did want to point out, the the new document that we will be submitting, it's required to be a 5-year plan, and I believe in the document it said 2020 through 2025. It will actually be 2020 through 2024, and you are required by the state to update that every 5 years. Any comments from the public or continued comments from the board? Motion by Trustee Demink, support by Trustee Anderson, to approve a request by the Parks and Recreation Department to update the currently expired Recreation Master Plan with Giffords Webster. This expense is budgeted from general account number 101-752-801 in the amount of $6,820. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying nay. Motion prevails. Thank you. Item 7D, approve a request by the Department of Public Safety. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Director Willard.
Just 1 quick minute.
It's on. Yeah, I hear you.
Give it one of these. I'm not sure it's on.
You might have turned it off.
Throw it.
I think you'll be okay.
Sorry. I just wanted to tell the board thank you kindly for your approval of that request and supporting the Parks and Recreation Department. We're looking forward to the project and putting this community in the best position possible for future growth. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Willard. 7D, approve a request by the Department of Public Safety to purchase a virtual crash for accident reconstruction software license from Virtual Crash in the amount of $6,200.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Joseph, support by Trustee Demink. Director Kirsten.
This is the software, and it allows us to draw and reconstruct in a computer-based program our crash and accident investigations. This request is actually the software that goes in line with the next item, the actual hardware and measuring device that we use. Again, this is the software. Once the measurements are taken from the crash scene and the evidence is collected, it's documented and then downloaded into the computer, and your crash or whatever crime scene you're investigating is reconstructed in the computer software.
Questions from the board? Questions from the public? Motion by Trustee Joseph, support by Trustee Demink, to approve the request by the Department of Public Safety to purchase a virtual crash for accident reconstruction software license from Virtual Crash in the amount of $6,200. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying nay. Motion prevails. Hang tight, Director Kirsten. 7F, approve a request by the Department of Public Safety to purchase accident investigation equipment from Nicke Geosystems Incorporated in the amount of $17,597.60. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Joseph, support by Trustee Bosberg. Director Kirsten, this is the second half.
Actual hardware now that the officer will utilize at a crash scene or a crime scene investigation. It's actually a add-on to our existing hardware and equipment that we currently use. This is a technology upgrade. It's similar to what you see a surveyor use. Backpack with a GPS antenna, and he walks around and they mark landmarks or points of interest that they'd like to scale. It, again, is downloaded into a computer, it's labeled, and with the software in the previous item, it produces our crime scene documents and our crash reconstruction documents that we present to the prosecutor for eventual prosecution.
Any comments from the board? This is the second piece of the, Trustee Joseph.
Do we have any certified accident scene investigators in the department?
Yes, we do. We actually have reconstructionists within our group, and we have a couple that are court recognized as experts.
Who are they?
Captain Kinnear is one of them. We have Sergeant Anderson, Sergeant Fitzpatrick, Sergeant Kirkley, Officers Ogden, Johnson, and McPhillips. And that is a continual training process that they have to go through the year. We continue to upgrade their training and refresh them.
So I know they've been called out, some of those members have been called out by neighboring communities to assist because those those investigators can sometimes be in short supply. This obviously helps them. A lot of the things that they're doing now, they're doing it through a much more exhaustive process.
Yes.
And so this makes more precise calculations and recreations.
Yes, this development in this hardware and this technology advance, you know, time-wise, efficiency-wise, it's a huge advantage. As going to the part of, do we help other departments? We absolutely do. There's other jurisdictions that we will go and assist with locally, and in turn, they will assist us.
The amount of overtime, I'm just sorry, I don't mean to filibuster, the amount of overtime associated with a fairly involved crash scene, because I would venture to guess that we know fairly early on the possibility of litigation with some of these, and then our people get called into court, you know, to provide testimony or, you know, data associated with. This puts us in a much better spot, I assume, with the amount of overtime that's spent at the scene and the credibility in testifying in terms of their expert witness capacity. This certainly puts us in a better position there, I would imagine.
This absolutely does. This is all top line technology. This is you can't get any better than what we have right now.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief.
Just to add to that, this hardware is something that we've invested in years ago. I think on the original, we went down this road in 2006, and we built upon it every so many years. We've come in front of you, and you've been more than supportive.
Trustee Demink.
This type of technology is used by a lot of the departments, Dave. Counties use it, MSP uses it, Sterling uses it. It's come a long ways. I know Director Kirsten and Captain McNair can relate back, and probably Mr. Anderson, to the old days when you're using 2 tapes and doing it's either a triangulation method or a coordinate method, and this is so much better. You can do your crime scenes the old day. You had to do everything with measuring tape. Now you can do your accident scenes, you can do your internal crime scenes if it's in a building. It's technology that has become very much advanced, and as we all know, technology changes day by day in this field.
Right.
Any further comments on the board? From the public. Motion by Trustee Joseph, support by Trustee Vosberg, to approve a request by the Department of Public Safety to purchase accident investigation equipment from Nicke Geosystems, Inc. in the amount of $17,597.60. Clerk Berry, please call the roll.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Treasurer LaFata.
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye.
Clerk Berry, aye.
Motion prevails. Thank you, Director. Item 7G, approve the introduction and first publication of Ordinance 173, amending the table of capacity unit factors utilized for determining water system benefit fees and sewer system benefit fees to include a category for dry manufacturing/warehousing facilities. Article 3, Sewer and Water Rates, Section 64-219A, or Chapter 64, Utilities of the Charter Township of Chesterfield Code of Ordinances. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the introduction and first publication of Ordinance 173.
Motion by Clerk Berry.
Support.
Support by Trustee Vosberg. Director Coddington is here. If any board members have any questions?
Good evening. Briefly on this subject, some of these ordinances, including this one, goes back to 1968, and they do need addressing from time to time. So that's basically what we're looking at on this ordinance.
Questions from the board? This is first publication. It will be back at the next board meeting before the ordinance is actually changed. Comments from the public? Motion by Clerk Berry, support by Trustee Vosberg. Clerk Berry, please call the roll.
Clerk Berry, aye. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Treasurer LaFata.
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye. Motion prevails. Thank you. 7H, approve the introduction and first publication of Ordinance 174, amendment of the Chesterfield Township Code of Ordinances, Chapter 46, Offenses and Miscellaneous Provisions, Article 8, Fireworks. Do I have a motion? Motion by trustee Demink, support by trustee Anderson. Discussion. Trustee Demink.
Well, this is an ordinance that's moved forward since the state laws has changed to reduce the number of days that fireworks can be ignited in the township and the hours and an increase to the fines. I think we all know it's been a pet peeve of mine. Glad the state finally got it together and changed down the ordinances. Mr. Anderson and I, like I say, it's one of our pet peeves, and we're also in the process of looking at some other things to address the fireworks tent sales. We've met with Director Kirsten, council, and some other board members on that. But that's what this one's all about, at least to reduce the number of days and everything else.
Thank you. If I could make a couple quick comments on this. The state legislature at the end of last year, December 31st, amended the three bills, three public acts relating to our fireworks or ordinances and laws in the state of Michigan, and the regulations local communities like Chesterfield and every other local community has to regulate the discharge, penalties, time, and temporary structures. Now, this piece of the legislation only deals with the dates and times and potential fines for discharge of commercial grade fireworks. Trustee Demink did point out this does lower the total number of days that commercial grade fireworks can be ignited in our community and throughout the state. However, it changes when they can be. So you used to have 30 days spread out over 10 national holidays, the day before, the day of, and the day after. For example, 4th of July. Under this new act, and it basically says this is all a municipality can regulate. We cannot regulate these days. It lowers it to 10 days and sometimes 11 days, depending on if July 5th falls on a Friday or Saturday, and that's a qualifying day as well. So last year, even though without passing this bill, we would have like 40 days of fireworks that could go off up till 1 a.m., whatever the old law was. With passing this bill, we're down to 12 days, 2 days from Memorial Day, the day before, the 2 days prior to Memorial Day, the 2 days before Labor Day, not including Labor Day or Memorial Day. However, it goes a lot earlier during the 4th of July season. So the fireworks, the commercial fireworks can start June 26th, I'm sorry, June 29th through July 4th every year, with the addition of July 5th if that date is a Friday or Saturday. So that turns that into 6 or 7 days of fireworks instead of the 3 that we have been used to. And the final day is New Year's Eve. And that is the only day that fireworks can be lit off past midnight, pursuant to state law. Every other day they have to be done by 11:45 p.m. It also doubled the penalties and the fines that local police officers can assess for folks who break the ordinance. So just for some clarification there, this is you're going to see fireworks earlier and longer during the 4th of July season under the act that the state of Michigan passed, not less. And I just wanted to make sure I clarified that. However, this is state law, and we cannot do anything but this. Comments from the board? This is just first publication, and it will be back before us at our next meeting. Motion by trustee Demink, support by trustee Anderson to approve the introduction and first publication of ordinance 174, amendment to the Charter Township Code of Ordinances, Chapter 46, offenses and miscellaneous provisions. Article 8, fireworks. Clerk Barry, please call the roll.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Bossberg.
Aye.
Treasurer LaFata.
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye.
Clerk Barry, aye.
Motion prevails, 7-aye. Adopt resolution 2019-03 and authorize the Supervisor's Office and Clerk's Office to sign agreement number 19-5016 between the Michigan Department of Transportation and Chesterfield Township. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 2019-03.
Motion by Clerk Barry.
Or,
Support by Trustee Vosberg. Mr. Johnson, discussion from the board or questions? Required contract, you're going to see a road project and some improvements on 23 Mile Road coming up soon. There will be some sidewalks replaced at the complete expense of the Michigan Department of Transportation. However, at the end of the day, there will be Chesterfield Township owned sidewalks, which is the reason why we're covering this agreement. No cost to Chesterfield, but required, so MDOT can provide us with sidewalks in the MDOT right away. Director Johnson, how did I do?
Just for us to maintain the sidewalk that's to be put in between Donner Road and the entrance or exit ramp on 194, the south side there, that leads to that. So it's just an agreement saying that they'll put it in, but we maintain it once it's completed. To the standard.
Trustee Vosberg.
could you explain again where this sidewalk will be?
The sidewalk is going to be on the south side of 23 Mile Road between so you're at eastbound 94, the exit ramp of 23 Mile Road, between that exit ramp and Donner Road, we're putting a sidewalk on the south side.
So it's not a very long stretch?
No. Maybe 3 quarters.
Okay.
Trustee Vosberg, I did request a set of blueprints, which I have. I can share with you when we get together on the little bits and pieces. We're still
When I
going
first
to.
started reading this, I was excited. I thought, oh, good, maybe there'll be something going across the bridge.
We're still going to have a tremendous amount of sidewalk gaps and a tremendous mobility problem for our non-motorist pass, but this is a start at no cost to Chesterfield. That'll go in concert with our master plan and everything else going on.
So no, just to follow up, no cost for construction and engineering, whatever, right now, but then from then on, we maintain it and we will be responsible for it.
That's correct, just like all of our
Just like
other stuff.
homeowners and everything else. Thank you.
Any further questions from the board? Comments from the public? Motion by Clerk Barry, support by Trustee Vosberg to adopt Resolution 2019-03 and authorize the supervisor and the clerk to sign agreement number 19-5016 between the Michigan Department of Transportation and Chesterfield Township. Clerk Barry, please call the roll.
Clerk Barry, aye. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Treasurer LaFata.
Aye.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye. Motion prevails. 7J, approve a request by the Insurance Committee to contract with BCS Insurance Company for the purchase of a cyber and privacy liability insurance policy in the amount of $4,391 from GL number 101248910. Do I have a motion? I'll make a motion to approve as stated.
Support.
Support by Treasurer LaFata. Director Bauer, welcome.
Just a quick comment, the township had an insurance committee review and did overall township liability coverage. Upon review of the coverages, the committee determined there was a need for cyber liability coverage. Our township insurance vendor then was asked to go out and obtain quotes from qualified vendors. Along with our insurance committee, our IT was also consulted with coverages and needed and what.
Questions from the board? Any comments from the public? Motion by Supervisor Acciavatti, support by Treasurer LaFata to approve a request by the Insurance Committee to contract with BCS Insurance Company for the purchase of a cyber and privacy liability insurance policy in the amount of $4,391. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying nay. Motion prevails. Thank you, Director Bauer. There are no addendum. Item number 9 is public comment, and please state your name and address and limit your comments to 5 minutes. We do have a closed session tonight, and I would just like to state we don't expect any action items coming out of that closed session. For those of you who want to hang out here late, there shouldn't be a whole lot of action coming out. Welcome.
Thank you. I already know that I'm When I was here about a month ago, we talked about the option came off of paving our road,
Trustee Joseph brought the amount that was roughly about $1 million, 24 residents on the road, about $50,000 a resident, if I remember correctly. My question to you, the board here, is back in '96, that road was closed, and it was opened up from our understanding to help the development of Stonehenge subdivision. And what we were told is that the road was going to get paid by the developer when as the finish of the subdivision is for opening it up and creating the thoroughfare. So my question is, why would just 24 houses be straddled with the cost of that road when there's over 200 homes in Stonehenge subdivision that also use that road? There's like a radar that goes up. As soon as that road's graded, everybody's flying down that road. As soon as it gets bad again, they go back to using the concrete that's in the subdivision to get out to down. So again, my question is, why would the 24 homes on the dirt part of Maurice Road, the 3/4 of a mile, get straddled with that whole cost when everybody else in that subdivision has use of that road? And they're the ones that seem to destroy it. Most people on our road go more than 10 to 50 miles an hour. We can tell who doesn't live on the road because of how fast they're going.
Thank you, Bill. Any further questions? Mr. O'Connor, get together with Bill, answer some of his questions, and have him start the process of a special assessment district. Any further comments from the public?
Good evening. I'm Barbara Van Sweden. I'm the superintendent of New Haven Community Schools.
Welcome.
Thank you. I want to share some information this evening about an upcoming ballot proposal that will be on the May 7th ballot. I know how much this community cares about their schools. I know how much you care about the safety and security of all children, about having an up-to-date learning environment, about also having technology and the infrastructure to support it. I also know that you care about having safe, reliable transportation for children to and from school, athletic events, robotics competitions, and so many other school-related activities. So on May 7th, the New Haven Board of Education passed place a $25 million bond proposal. It's a two-phase proposal that supports safety and security, the learning or instructional environment, technology, and transportation. What's unique about this bond proposal is that it's going to be completed in two phases. The first phase in 2019 begins in 2019. The second phase in 2024. This comprehensive proposal will have a positive impact on all the communities, including New Haven and Chesterfield Townships. If the proposal is approved by voters, the current tax rate will increase by 0.9 mils. Now, for the average New Haven community school homeowner, the cost will be about $32.40 a year, or about 9 cents a day. For many residents, including senior citizens and residents on fixed incomes, there will be no increase. There is more detailed information on our website at www.newhaven.misd.net under school election information. There's an FAQ, a news release, a video, a fact card, and information for absentee voters. In fact, tomorrow we're also going to be adding a tax calculator so that you can calculate the taxes that will be affected. For the first time, registered voters no longer need an excuse to vote absentee. So again, safety and security, a 21st century learning environment for our children, technology, and safe, reliable transportation matters to all of us as parents, as grandparents, and as members of the community. So thank you this evening for a few minutes to share this information.
Thank you, Superintendent Van Sweden. Any further comments from the public? Seeing no further public comments, I'll bring it up to the board. Trustee Anderson.
Thank you. This coming May 2nd, Thursday, between 5:30 and 7:30 p.m., the Chesterfield Township Historical Society to be holding its annual Pasta and More Dinner at the VFW Hall on 23 Mile Road. Tickets here for that event are $20 here through the township or $25 at the door. And again, the profits will support the work of the Historical Society, our village over here, and the other activities of the group. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Domingue.
I want to start with some announcements from the Parks and Rec Department. Spring into summer with Chesterfield Parks and Recs. Our residents should have received our latest publication in the mailboxes last week. You'll find softball, adult fitness classes, sports leagues, bus trips, and several new programs, special one-day events. If you want to be part of the community, check us out at parks.chesterfieldtownship.org. Gymnastics is back starting on April 27th. ABC Gymnastics as they transform our youth center into a tumbling, rolling, and balancing good time. The 6-week classes will have your kids in flipping frenzy of fun. Join us on Saturday afternoons, and you can contact Parks and Rec Department. Also, Beautification Week is less than a month away. Our township will celebrate May 5th to the 12th. A full schedule of beautification activities can be found on the township's website. I'd like to welcome our 3 new firefighters and our new police officer to the township, and I wish them the best in the public service. And I'd like to wish all the township residents a happy and safe Easter, and also to my fellow board members. Thank you.
Trustee Joseph.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just a couple of comments tonight. Mr. Valancourt, the subdivision and the who benefits in a special assessment district. The conversation that I had was, fairly preliminary, but Mr. Babb, been around for a while and knows his stuff pretty well. He and I had that discussion that you raised tonight, which was the amount of traffic that gets is clearly from individuals inside the subdivision. And you're right, as soon as the county comes through and grades, it's almost like word gets out, hey, there's a fast track back to, Donner, and the increased traffic is quite heavy, and it doesn't take very long, to create more problems. Certainly 24 people traveling a properly installed gravel road doesn't cause the breakdown that we see, so it seems logical that there are more individuals that benefit from. Pinning them down for a special assessment district is another problem. So I think we have some people here that can help with some remedies. The other one was simply when I would walk through and talk to your neighbors, they were quite upset with the speeds, the high speed. And so I know in talking with Director Kirsten, he's had the portable sort of miles per hour, positioned out there, because it becomes a real problem, but only until the high rate of speed traffic has created potholes and then it's no longer a desired path. So, that's a never-ending problem that I think we will have to get creative because would like to see those residents, like you say, you have roughly 24 people that are severely negatively impacted when that road is, virtually impassable. You can't go more than 5 miles an hour, before the grading happens. So hopefully with the gravel program and the new road coming in, we can try to keep it as pristine as possible with some other techniques. The other comment I had, thanks to the New Haven superintendent for coming out and sharing valuable information about something she cares very deeply about. It's always good when more of our citizens get out and vote, so wish you well on the ballot initiative. The last thing that I wanted to just point out, and I don't know if Supervisor Acciavatti will speak more about this, but an area that's been heavily discussed in the last couple of board meetings has to do with the Selfridge sustainability study, and received confirmation or instruction from the supervisor that the next major meeting of the sustainability study will happen on Thursday, April 25th. Supervisor Acciavatti has appointed our planning administrator, Jonathan Palin, to lead the team that consists of myself, Treasurer LaFata, and Mr. Arroyo, our new township planner. I am, of course, very interested in being a part of that committee. As soon as I received your email, I requested annual leave so that I can attend that meeting Obviously, these meetings are during the day, and my work at the county becomes kind of difficult to attend. But I did request and was approved annual leave for the morning of April 25th, and I am very much looking forward to hearing about what the Selfridge Sustainability Study means for Chesterfield. As I stated in a few previous board meetings, and sometimes it comes across a bit contentious, I believe that this is vital for the revenue streams for our township to make sure that we can coexist, and any plans that the base has that renders the township unable to raise revenue is not a good deal for the township. So I want to be a part of the process, and I've asked to be a part of the process, and I appreciate the supervisor's appointment of me to this committee, and I pledge to the residents and my fellow board members to bring back detailed information about this sustainability study, which is very important, obviously, to the region, critically important to the township. Development that potentially encroaches on a plan for the base proves difficult, and I don't want to see any opportunities lost for our residents. We had a great board meeting in that we're swearing in new firefighters and new police officers, and the health and safety of our township is moving in the exact right direction, and closing the door on potential revenue streams would be something that we absolutely cannot allow. So very grateful to be on this committee, and I pledge to the board, my fellow board members, and to the residents, work very hard and bring back information to report to you as soon as it is made available. So thank you, and happy Easter to all of our residents, and thank you, sir.
Trustee Vosberg.
Thank you. I too would like to welcome our new firefighters and police officer and wish everyone a happy Easter.
Treasurer LaFatta.
I also would like to congratulate and welcome the new firemen and police officers to the township. I would also like to remind the residents that there's going to be a Chesterfield Township Community Enlightenment Program on Thursday, April the 25th at the Township Hall from 6 to 8 p.m. It'll be brought to you by the Township's Treasurer. It'll be at no cost to the residents. All costs will be assumed by the Township Treasurer. We're going to touch on some of the primary functions in each department: job descriptions, responsibilities, safety in the workplace, ethics, attendance for full-time elected officials, purchasing policies, and some capital projects. Thank you.
Clerk Berry.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. It's been a very busy couple of weeks, or a few weeks for me. I was attending some elections updates sessions at the Michigan Township Association conference last board meeting that were very important to us. As a result of those sessions, you will see some changes for 2020. Obviously, Proposal 3 that was passed last November causes a lot of changes in elections. But one of the other things that we're going to be doing, in addition to all of the state mandated changes, is that you are going to see a newly revised election website for 2020 that should make it easier for voters to access all of the information that they need and to update them as to all of those changes as they occur. So that's one of the things that we're going to be implementing that will affect 2020. As far as the election for May 7th, the upcoming election, I would like to point out that that election, again, is for only those who live in the New Haven School District. That only affects 2 of our precincts here in Chesterfield. That is Precinct 4, who votes at Carcanord Elementary, and Precinct 13, who votes at Higgins Elementary. So anyone else in the township, it does not affect you. It only affects folks in those 2 precincts who vote at those locations. As was mentioned by one of our public speakers earlier, that you currently can now vote absentee with no reason. It's called no reason absentee voting. You don't have to have a reason to vote by absentee, but there are rules associated with that still. We still need to receive from you an application for an absentee ballot. If we do not receive an application for an absentee ballot from you, you will not be issued a ballot. So we need to receive that application completed from you, and it needs to be processed timely in the clerk's office, and then we can issue a ballot. Also, as it becomes closer and closer to the time of the election, specifically within the last 2 to 3 days prior to the election, there are certain places and ways in which you can obtain that ballot and where that ballot needs to be voted. So please contact the clerk's office if you do need an absentee ballot, particularly within the last couple of days. It's very important that you contact us so that we handle that properly for you and that you know what you need to do in order to obtain that ballot. So some of the other things that are affected by some of the changes as well. In addition to that, we do have a new deputy clerk in Macomb County. I am the president of the Macomb County Clerks Association currently, and we hosted the county clerk. They are usually at our monthly professional association luncheons, and they introduced new clerk Sheila Miller, deputy clerk Sheila Miller for Macomb County, who works under clerk Fred Miller. And so she is now in place in the county office that is not here. We still have our wonderful deputy clerk, Clerk Niza, with us, but Deputy Clerk Miller is over in Macomb County. In addition to that, they also did a full evaluation and preparation for the changes to Proposition 3, or excuse me, to Proposal 3, so we should be well prepared to assist you with that. Again, please, I urge you to call the clerk's office if you have any questions as far as those changes that were affected by Proposal 3, because even clerks, and there are 30 plus clerks in that luncheon for Macomb County, and even some longtime clerks had some questions and there was some confusion. So we know that it is confusing for the voters, and we want to be able to clarify that for you. At the MTA conference, there were some very good sessions that I attended as well, in addition to the elections sessions. I was asked to present, along with 2 municipal attorneys representing the Michigan Township Association, to a large session on medical marijuana versus recreational marijuana. I know some of you may be aware that I was also selected by the state, by LARA, which is the Licensing and Regulations department for the state, and the marijuana regulation, Department of Marijuana Regulation, to participate in their stakeholder work group as they craft the rules as it relates to recreational or adult use marijuana as approved by the voters, again, under what we knew as Proposal 1. There were a lot of things we learned in that work group. Some of the things I will share with you and that I was asked to share with the session of probably 200 to 300 participants at MTA, along with the attorneys. A couple things became clear to us. I was in a group of only 15 municipalities who were selected to participate in the work group. I was the only township there. We were the only township that was invited statewide. All of the rest were very large cities: City of Detroit, Flint, Grand Rapids, Traverse City. And so it was clear to us, myself and the attorney that represents all of Michigan townships, that was the only other township interest that was represented of those 15, that it seemed that the state would be moving in the direction of rules that were beneficial to urban centers and cities. And so we were concerned and shared with them our concerns from a township's perspective, and ensuring that townships and township interests and the interests of residents who live in townships would not be adversely affected by any rules that the state would pass with regards to this issue. I know it's a very emotional issue for a lot of people. It drew a lot of turnout during the election, and we wanted to make it clear that township-related concerns would be expressed to them, and we were able to do that. I am still waiting to see what those rules are going to look like. We expect preliminary rules from the state to be out in June. Chesterfield Township currently is under an ordinance we passed in November of last year to opt out of having medical or recreational marijuana facilities here in the township. I know many municipalities have expressed that they will be revisiting their current ordinances after the LARA rules are published. And here in Chesterfield, we have a cannabis committee that has actually been charged with looking at that particular issue and advising the board, again, strictly in an advisory capacity, but advising the board as this very dynamic issue moves forward through the state. So we are on top of that. We are certainly one of the first ones to be invited and to participate in that process, and we're happy to do that. So I will keep the board and the public updated on that issue as it becomes available. If there are any questions on that issue, I would be more than happy to answer them, either for my colleagues on the board or for the public. You can certainly give me a call here at the township offices, and I would be more than happy to discuss that issue or any of the ongoing developments as it occurs. Thank you.
Thank you. I would urge any Chesterfield residents to explore the budget book. A budget for a municipal government is an extremely important document and guideline to set the values and the investment moving forward. And it's a significant act creating this document to this caliber. I intend on getting it out to the public earlier. As you are aware, the budget is passed in December. Our fiscal year is in January. But I would urge anyone who is interested in their local government to explore that budget, and that's a good way to keep your eye on things. The Jefferson Road Bridge project over the Salt River. I do not want to sugarcoat this. This is going to be a extremely significant burden on the traffic flow patterns on the lake by the Salt River and connecting to New Baltimore for the entire summer. The good news is the bridge is going to be aesthetically pleasing, and it will not need to go through this type of reconstruction in probably any of our lifetimes, which is fantastic. The bid letting for that project was April 5th. The Michigan Department of Transportation has not awarded to the low bidder yet. However, the scheduled start date of May 6th is still the scheduled start date. So we'll have one more meeting, I believe, before then to prepare. It's going to be a little bumpy, especially when school is in. Our public safety team will be out there and we'll be communicating as much as possible. I would urge everyone to show patience, and we'll be real proud of the end product when it's done. Another road issue, the gentleman, Bill from Maurice. I don't necessarily believe the $1 million figure. The first step is contacting our township engineer. We have a special assessment district process that is pretty dialed in. A lot of time was spent 2 years ago creating a manual, creating APO for that process, and we're starting to see some fruit bear in the form of being selected for the township or the Macomb County 50-50 match program for 2019. If all goes well, we'll have 2 projects that are included in that program for the first time in the history of this township. So it's a lot of work on special assessment district. I do not believe that stretch of road is approximately 1,950 feet. I think that estimate is high. So the process begins with starting with our township engineer and an individual initiating the special assessment district. Now, that also doesn't mean that there's not other options that the township has. It's very clear that the federal government, state government, and county government either lacking resources, can't or won't solve our infrastructure and especially our road project. So we're going to have to participate as a township. When you see a road like that is a pass-through, that clearly is a what I would call a primary road. It's not owned by the township. We don't even have an authority to work on it. That doesn't mean we can't participate in the solution. But the start is a petitioner reaching out to our township engineer and assessor to figure out if the district even wants it. You'd be surprised how many folks like living on gravel roads. And without a majority, I would like well over 50% in support of the project, we will start exploring those options. Next year's match program and looking at every possible way to continue to fix these stretch of roads. Now you have 2,000 feet, and we probably got 400,000 feet in our township that needs attention, and that's the place to start. One thing I do want to comment on, Brigadier General Doug Slocum is going to be retiring from the Selfridge International Guard Base. next month, beginning of next month. We are losing an incredible asset to that base in the loss of Doug Slocum running the Selfridge Air National Guard Base, and I just wanted to give him a shout out. What a public servant, if any of you have not had the pleasure of spending time with him. Finally, I'd like to thank the department heads that are here. It means a tremendous amount, your presence here tonight. Not only this team, all the other department heads and managers, and the entire township team. They're the heart and soul of the township government, and they've been through a tremendous amount of changes, and they should just be commended, and I appreciate you all being here. Like I said earlier, we do not expect any action items coming out of closed session, so unless you really enjoy this room, you do not need to hang around any longer, and that includes the department heads. Item number 11, closed session. 11A, to consider Township Attorney Robert Siebert's April 3rd, 2019 written legal opinion. Legal opinion is exempt from disclosure pursuant to the attorney-client privilege, and closed session is permitted pursuant to Section 8H of the Open Meetings Act.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make...
Also, item 8 or 11B is to be considered in closed session to consider Township Attorney Howard L. Schiffman, P.C.'s written legal opinion. The legal opinion is exempt from disclosure pursuant to the attorney-client privilege, and closed session is permitted pursuant to Section 8H of the Open Meetings Act. Do I have a motion to enter closed session?
Motion to enter closed session.
Motion by Clerk Berry, support by Trustee Demink to enter closed session. Clerk Berry, please call the roll.
Clerk Berry, aye. Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg.
Trustee Vosberg.
She stepped out.
Pat, I guess.
She left.
Just have a
Treasurer LaFata.
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye. A majority of members voted in unanimous support to enter closed session. We are in closed session at 8:22 p.m. Oh, I got it. We have a motion to re-enter open session.
Motion to go back in open session.
Motion by Trustee Demink.
Second.
Support by Clerk Berry to re-enter open session. Clerk Berry, please call the roll.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Clerk Berry, aye. Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Treasurer LaFata.
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye. We are in we're back in open session at 9 o'clock. Item number 12 is adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Trustee Demink, support by Trustee Vosberg to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying nay. We are adjourned at 9 o'clock.